Namaste, Soul Tribe family. Welcome back my way on this divinely guided day. I love you and the divine loves you. Thank you so much for all that you do for our space. If you are new to the space, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Uh, to my A1s who are my day ones, the Soul Tribe family as a whole, I love you and the divine loves you. Thank you for all that you have been doing for our space, liking, sharing, subscribing, tapping into the messages. Some of you say plugging in, however you see it. Thank you. All right. I feel like the energy here that hmm, I'm picking up on, I feel like family, there's been a lot that has been transpiring. Especially, I feel like there's a lot of investigations going on. They're looking at them by like oh, I don't know if there's years and tenures in this or what, okay? But you have stated some things, and some of the things that you stated or felt, uh, they have been proven, okay? So let's see. Let's see what this energy is. But I keep picking up an investigative energy. Yeah, somebody could have been trying to bind you something to them. It could have been a fallen angel. Okay, so let's tap into this message. Divine, thank you so much for allowing us to be here. We are grateful. I ask that you continue to keep us with protection during this reading, all readings, and all the time. I ask that you provide us with clear and concise messages, as well as clarity, guidance, intuition, wisdom, and discernment. Any negativity, any toxicity, any evil being thrown or projected at myself or the Soul Tribe family, I ask that you shield our minds, bodies, souls, and vessels from it, as we too shield our minds, bodies, souls, and vessels from it. Ashe and thank you. So I feel like somebody was trying to bind you to something, family, but because you're not a fallen angel, I feel like the Most High God, the divine creator of all living things, stepped in. Okay. This person may need to go through some sort of exorcism. Okay. And I feel like they may not even know that they are under some sort of stronghold, but it's just their actions that prove this. This could be somebody that's very toxic, but they come across like they're not. The toxicity is linked to, I heard that, them constantly wanting some sort of physical connection to somebody, possibly a sexual connection. Somebody here could be upset, okay? Because the connections they're getting, it's not yours. Okay. Whatever connections they're getting, it has them, feeling more insecure, possibly even unexplained fatigue, exhausted, and weakened. I feel like there's somebody out here that feels like, hmm, they need your connection. Okay. Um, hmm. I also just, wow, okay, they could be a part of some sort of sex trafficking ring. I do not mean to trigger anybody, but that's what I'm hearing. This person could be a part of some sort of sex trafficking ring or something like that. That's crazy. Yeah. And at the bottom of the deck, there could have been somebody that was trying to, copy you or immolate your energy. This could have been a toxic ex that has stepped into feminine or masculine energy, but they're sick and there's some sort of disgrace here. They've been love bombing and lying. They possibly may want to say sorry, okay? But I feel like you've rebuked that energy for whoever this message is resonating with. Huh. Mm. Ha. There may be an ex out there that has stepped into whom they are, and they may not be, you know, they may not be masculine energy anymore. Tell me more about this binding. I feel like somebody is starting to learn some things here. Yeah, there was a big favor that was asked. Whatever that favor was asked, it was misunderstood. Somebody felt like they got gaslit by whatever favor somebody asked. Mm. There's a big favor. May have come with a lot of gaslighting, okay? And that's where they feel, the misunderstanding took place, or there was something that took place here, caused a big misunderstanding. Huh. Oh boy. I heard that spirit. We're just gonna build that out. Mm. So with this, I feel like a lot of energies felt that, partnering with luxurious things, money, cars, materialistic things is often partnering with the devil, okay? Because the devil makes those types of promises. I feel like this energy right here, though, didn't realize that they had possibly partnered with the devil. By the time they realized it, it was like, okay, they had already sold their soul off or, you know, committed to some darkness. Let's just say that they already committed to some darkness here. Okay. But it was too late because, they asked a favor of someone. Someone may have come in and been like, oh, sure, I can help you with this, but could you do this for me? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, because they're thinking it's, an even trade off. And that's where the misunderstanding took place. This person realized that they had committed themselves to possibly working for darkness for a very long time. Now they're over here trying to explore their feelings behind it. They want to bring in some sort of closure here. They may have it says here, delve into insecurities and unresolved emotions. So somebody here, knows that they binded themselves to something that they should not have bound themselves to. They may even come across as being very arrogant or something like that. Okay. I feel like, they have yet to be humiliated or experience humility. Okay. You may be aware of this or you may pick this energy up like somebody's very arrogant and stubborn. Ooh, look over here and stubborn. Yeah, they haven't been flexible at all. Mm, that's a mess. They haven't been flexible at all, family. Being inflexible to just change or just knowledge or just, bettering yourself or something like that, that always ends up bad. And I feel like someone here is realizing that, it's like they wanted to cheat their way ahead or cheat their way into a position or a status quo or something like that. And because the work just was too hard for them, or maybe they felt they learned late, so they just, didn't want to take the rest of this time to figure it out. They may be, older at this time, more mature age, and they just figured to try to do it the right way, which was to do the work, that it would take too long. I feel like somebody came in and made an offer to somebody that they couldn't resist. Well, with that offer came a lot of misunderstanding. I feel like this person is very angry now to find out that they can't release something. hmm No matter what, it's like somebody, they're obligated to the choice they took. Whew, and they may have tried to avoid, paying what's owed to this energy that they've connected with. hmm Yeah. They may have tried to avoid some sort of confrontation by offering, oh, I'll find someone else or I'll do something else. Yeah. And this had a lot to do with something in the past. Somebody trying to clean up, their karma from the past and ended up making it worse. Yeah, they should have just embraced that void spirit of saying, sometimes you win some, you lose some. Somebody should have just embraced the void from the past. But instead, they tried to do something else. Yep. They feel like they were, under some sort of seductive allure here. And now they're having some sort of emotional release. Ooh, wee. Yeah, that's that energy. Like, they're craving. Ooh, I know somebody did not. Like, ooh, I know they ain't bound to ugh, cravings of, sex. And it's out of control now. They don't have any control over this issue anymore. Somebody out here trying to pass out sexually transmitted demons. Okay. And somebody knows this. I feel like, the more that you speak about things, family, some sort of detective or some sort of investigator is like becoming enlightened to spiritual warfare. This is somebody that was raised in a church. Damn. Spiritual warfare is new to them. They never even knew this existed, like many of us didn't. I can't make it up. Somebody's going back through their biblical knowledge or back to, learning the truth about the Most High God or, recalling things. It says collaborate here. We are aligned in our purposes. Let's combine forces and help each other succeed. Maybe this person went back to the Most High God, divine creator of all living things, the universe, to make sense of some things of what they're seeing, what they're witnessing, or what they have, you know, mm, found out. Damn. Yeah. Yep. They've been hearing a lot, okay? They've been hearing a lot from people, okay? People could be telling them, that's just gossip, that's just hearsay, that's just what they think, right? Talking about light workers, galactic energies, okay? Um, trying to push everything back on you, us as a whole, because they don't want anyone to really focus in on them. Mhm. They don't want anybody to focus on them. They could even be venting about what this person is learning or finding out or questioning. Somebody here could be venting about it as well. Mm. Venting about what they found out, or they could be going to somebody, an elder or something like that. They could be asking an elder about it. I feel like, somebody is questioning why they're asking. Why are they asking these questions here? Like what's so important? Somebody's like, "Hey, I'm looking into some things." I feel like they don't want to really let them know what they're doing. This is some sort of new type of huh? Investigative team or something like that. They're investigating all the religious beliefs and all of the different groups of religions. Really? Yeah, somebody doesn't want them to ask any questions. They want them to stay focused on, you know, on what they feel they should stay focused on. Somebody could be asking, I heard a chief. Somebody's asking some sort of chief questions, and this chief is like, where are these questions coming from, or something like that. This person's like, I'm sorry, I feel like they don't want to like put any waves in the water. This person does not want to be on the radar of this chief or of this boss, manager, something like that. They don't want to be on the radar of them. So they just, quit asking questions, but they are still looking into things. Yeah, they're looking for some sort of leverage here. They could have been collaborating with someone else or just speaking on it, talking to somebody else. Okay. Trying to find some sort of leverage here. Yeah. And they're apologizing again. Okay. Whew. Somebody could be apologizing for what you've experienced because of what they found out or something like that. Mm. Yeah, they feel like, this is like a hush hush type of topic. Like, no one wants to really talk about this topic. This investigator's running into that. Like, no one really wants to talk about this topic or something like that. Okay. They're doing research on it though when I look over. Let me shuffle this. But they are doing some sort of research. I feel like that's where they kind of, found out that there's a lot of people that, question what it is they're doing. Why are they asking these questions? And I'll shuffle it and research is still at the bottom. Yeah, they're doing some sort of research, their own investigative research, because they noticed that this, yeah, I keep shuffling. Hold on, let me see. What is going? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna do it one more time. And if research is at the bottom again, I'm pulling it out. Okay. I must not be shuffling right. Yeah, somebody's doing some research because they see that their questions aren't being answered or it's bringing up, they're being like a question and instead of getting the answer, they're getting some sort of rebuttal to the question. Confirmation. They're getting rebuttal to the question. So they're seeing that this is a sensitive topic. This could be a sensitive topic, okay? Especially amongst this energies group of advisors, peers, things like that. Tell me more, Spirit. It's like it's a sensitive topic for them. Yeah. So instead of that, they may be even staking out, okay, staking out maybe different churches, different leader religious groups. They could even, be staking you out. They did some research. They could be staking you out. I don't know if it's or just staking out what's going on around your home or around your place or something. Something about they're not seeing much or something like that because everybody's inside. That's the thing. What are they doing inside or something like that? Yeah. Okay. What else? Hmm. Well, there's some sort of confinement or someone that is in jail or is going to be detained. They could be looking at that as well. They could be looking at, people that have, I don't know who lives around you, but you may have a lot of people that have, recently been released from the penal system living. Yeah. Somebody here is looking into, woo, possibly seeking some sort of justice or some sort of solution to somebody that was restrained and they may not have been there at the scene of the crime. And this is some evidence that they found out, but they were implicated as a suspect. Really? Somebody starting to tie some things together, feeling as if, hey, did this fall under, this spiritual warfare, satanic type of thing? Because they're looking at them like, were they really there? Somebody could be, saying they were innocent to something, but they could be serving some jail time. But somebody is thinking about, possibly a case where they put somebody in jail and they're starting to see that they could have went through this. Yeah, some sort of gaslight type thing. And they ended up, fitting the bill or taking the time for somebody. Ooh, that's crazy. I feel like somebody got tricked into it. It was a misunderstanding. Damn. Mm, really? Why am I hearing that? Yeah, somebody is starting to look at a lot of some sort of cases or something like that where a lot of people have been saying they were innocent. Um, but they may be looking back on it like, dang, were they a victim of some sort of spiritual warfare, some sort of, demonic uh attachments? Ooh-wee. They're starting to learn a lot more. Whatever they're learning, it's liberating them. Yeah. Yeah, whatever they're learning, it's liberating them, right? Somebody wants them to strike whatever they've learned from their knowledge, okay? Confusion is often the start of truth, and that's what it is. Somebody wants somebody to stop prying into whatever it is they're prying into because now it's starting to make them realize certain things, possibly even from their childhood. Mm, okay. Mm. Yeah, they're having a meltdown. It says, careful now, and too much heat and even sugar burns. So somebody could be having a meltdown about what they've been learning. This investigator, this inspector, whatever it is. I heard CCTV. What is CCTV? Ain't that on the? Oh yeah, I know what that is. Huh. Somebody is learning something and it's causing them to have a meltdown. Wow, they're starting to question everything they've ever learned. I'm also hearing they've been seeing things that they never even saw before, but now that they have stepped into this spiritual realm, this some sort of spiritual investigation, they're starting to see shit that they didn't even think existed. Ooh wee, that's cold. Wow. Yeah, look, they got their guards up now, okay? Access has been revoked and denied for many people. Mm. They're not trusting anybody around them now because of what they found out or what they've learned. They're starting to question a lot of things, a lot of people. Look, the candy storm, even the sweetest places have wild weather. Yeah, somebody is like, wow, they don't went somewhere to get some information and have seen the demon in people. The demon came right out. Like, why are you asking these questions type energy? I am done. Oh, I don't know if they went to a pastor or something. Look, he's like he or she is like, I'm asking these questions because the version of events was a fan fiction type energy. Somebody here is burning down the church house with the truth. But this they want to hold and remain and keep their power. So somebody is feeling like, if they keep asking the wrong questions, there could be some sort of revenge taken upon them. Really? Damn. So now they have to be very, careful about their line of questioning. Get out of here. Yes, because people are looking at them like they Delulu. Wow, that's cold. So this private investigator is starting to understand and understand that this may be, territory that, damn, the devil's minions don't want him or her diving into. Jeez. Yeah. Yep. It's almost like, it would be a sabotage. Okay. Not everyone who offers candy has kind intentions. There's some sort of temptation here, and it isn't always a treasure. So, yeah, they're starting to know or starting to identify who they could go to and who they can't go to for the questions to get answered. This is somebody that, may have tried to copy the blueprint print family. Okay, the investigator may have tried to copy the blueprint, but then found out that there's some universal laws to this shit. That's what they're finding out. Damn. They're finding out there's some universal laws to this shit. Yeah. And they're going to have to endure a lot if they're taking this path. Okay. If they're trying to find out, how things are tied to you or others. Ooh. Yeah. They're going to have to endure a lot of stuff. Look, you see that zombie behind her? Yeah. They're going to have to endure a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like they're chained to something. It's like, this energy right here is looking like this investigative type energy, and they're starting to find out that they may have been bound to these demonistic people the whole time. And they just happened to survive it because they never asked any questions. But now people are starting to wonder, why are they asking these questions? Yeah. We are all dreamers of dreams, visions without whimsy is just a plan. So somebody's realizing that, they should not have just walked in and started asking these spiritual questions or asking, do these things happen and exist, without a little more grace and tact, I feel. Mm. Because now they have raised some concerns, or people are starting to wonder about, why they're exploring this. Oh, wait, there we go. See how they do it? Yeah. And this was surprising to them. They might even be concerned about it now because maybe, they're finding out that there is definitely a fine line between the spiritual realm and the 3D matrix. They may have a family, and they don't want nothing to happen to their family. They don't want their family to go through any emotional pain. I don't feel like they will, but they know that there's a lot that is tied to their occupation. They definitely have to find some information out so they could see where others are coming from, or so that they can make sense of things, or when they hear certain things, it's not like over their head. Mm, yeah. But they expected this. Okay. They did expect, to get some pushback because it's not something that's just running rampant. There are people that have been spiritually tapped in or spiritually connected or learning about spirituality for years. This is an energy that is just now found out about it, and they're curious about it because they wanted to know, how that plays a role in many people's lives. They could be wondering if people had some sort of demonistic attachment, some sort of demon attached to them or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could be feeling like they want to move on. Tell me why move on is here. Give me more about this move on. Yeah, damn. Somebody may be wanting to move on. This could be you wanting to move on from a situation. But I feel like with this single, sexy, successful coming out, take it how it resonates and flip the roles. Okay. Um, it's like, let's see, you may be wanting to move on from this whole situation or this whole environment or whatever this is. You may be wanting to move on from it. But why is single, sexy, and successful here with moving on? Mm. Yeah, see, you want to move on, go on your way. Okay. You want to move on here. You want to get out the way. Single, sexy, successful. You're on your path. Someone you may meet along the way. Okay. You could be 35 or 43. Somebody could have been born on the 14th of any month. You could be 28, 21, 34. Hmm. Born in 92, born in 79. Hmm. But somebody here doesn't want you to move on. They're holding a grudge against you. This is somebody that's holding a grudge against you. Okay. Why? Why don't they want this single sexy energy to move along on their path? Why? Mm. Because it's like a wish fulfillment. Somebody doesn't want you to get your wish fulfillment here through your thoughts of love and just staying faithful to the divine. So somebody doesn't want somebody to move on. And that's the big thing here. It's like, and that's what this energy is trying to figure out. Like, why don't they just allow you to move on? It's like they're not getting the full story or something like that. Like most people, it's not a problem, right? Because they know that whatever they've been doing, it has been illegal. So they don't want you to be able to move on and speak your truths because they know then it will implicate them and what they've been doing. And your ancestors had everything to do with that, family. Like bringing this out. Your ancestors had everything to do with that. Hmm. Mm. 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 We get some final messages. Yeah, I can't make it up. Your ancestors had everything to do with you bringing out this illegal treatment, you standing in your authentic self. Hmm. And that's what they're afraid of. Yeah. Many of these people are having some sort of mental contest now. They don't feel like they have the courage to withstand whatever it is you would, be able to testify to, or, your story itself is a testimony to the illegal things people have been doing, and this detective is finding it out because they never have looked at it things from a perspective of spirituality versus, practicality, right? The practical thing is everybody goes to church, everybody's in love with Jesus and this and the third, but this person is finding out that there was really some deep dark secrets that maybe they were raised up around and under, and people are questioning why they're so curious about it now because this detective has been enlightened to what spirituality is versus denominational beliefs. Mm. Yeah, now they understand why you possibly want to escape this type of energy. Hmm. Yep. You may be going into a more relaxing type of energy because you already know what you're dealing with, but they're becoming aware of what you have been dealing with. So now they understand and possibly understand why you want to escape the toxicities around you. Yep. These people could have been using resources. They could have been in love affairs. They could have been using your resources for them and their partners. This is what they're finding out as well. Mm. There's a lot of couples involved with this type of stuff. Yeah. And people are starting to express their truth about it with this fertility coming out. They're finding out a lot of things about how people, got together in groups to start doing these types of things. Yeah. And they're finding out that these groups, they're loyal to one another. Mm-hmm. Okay, family. So that is the energy. That is the message. All right. I hope it brings you some sort of clarity. All right. Or it resonates with you in some sort of way. Okay. So let's get ready to close out. At this time, Divine, I ask that you continue to keep us with love, harmony, tranquility, prosperity, peace, protection, and respect, and good health and good wealth in our lives and all the time. Ashe and thank you. And until next time, you know what I love to say. Namaste.